Chapter 161 Plant Element. The people who disagreed were definitely not few in number. Mo Fan saw that the line by the exit had already formed into a long dragon. From their faces, he could tell that they all had the same expression. It said, "Shit, I will take you down. My name is Zhuang Lifeng, a disciple of the Zhuang family. I haven't liked you since you took a step onto this stage. Do you think you're cool because you have the summoning element? I will let you have a taste of the prowess of our Zhuang family." When Zhuang Lifeng stepped up, he appeared to have a scholarly air about him. Mo Fan had no choice but to admit that this person's appearance was not bad. With his refined way of announcing his family, as well as carrying an aura that gave the impression he was undertaking the will of heaven, Mo Fan felt like he needed to give a certain amount of attention to him. Naturally, Mo Fan didn't become cautious just because of what he had said. It was because Mo Fan could feel that this person gave off a different feeling compared to the others. "You fanatic. I will eliminate your beast that's abusing others, and then teach you a lesson." Zhuang Lifeng rolled up his sleeves. The spirit wolf didn't bullshit too much with humans, its claws had already stretched out. Zhuang Lifeng did indeed have the ability. His understanding toward the wind element, wind trails, was far more adept than the guy with the large head from before. Since the spirit wolf was able to reach the third level of charging, Zhuang Lifeng had already laid a wind trail domain around the beast battle cage. Everyone watched Zhuang Lifeng stop at a certain location, and then disappear from that area in the next second. The spirit wolf was only able to leave a small wound on his right arm in the 3 times he had charged over. "Beautiful, Zhuang Lifeng, you control this thing," the fire element girl with a slightly tanned face said. "Fire burst, rupture," the girl shouted as a fireball rapidly formed within her palms. The flames were thrown toward the location the spirit wolf was at. Before the spirit wolf was able to evade, it exploded forth. The ferocious flames exploded onto the body of the spirit wolf, causing him to fly several meters away. The flames were like fire as they sprinkled all over its surroundings. "Oh woo!" The spirit wolf climbed back up and shook off the little flames that were on its body. This was the first time the spirit wolf had received damage. In the beginning, Mo Fan was a little bit worried. However, his worry turned into relief as he saw the will to fight in the spirit wolf's eyes. A fire burst. Rupture was still unable to do fatal damage to an evolving stage spirit wolf. Furthermore, the spirit wolf's physique was already rather sturdy. "Ignore the wind person, finish off the other people," Mo Fan said to Spirit Wolf. Spirit Wolf also noticed that the wind magician was relatively quick, and to catch him would be very difficult. The Spirit Wolf immediately changed its target. Its gaze was directly locked onto the girl who was casting Fire Burst. The girl didn't have anyone else protecting her. When the Spirit Wolf charged over like a wild beast in the arena, it was completely unstoppable. Even if Zhuang Lifeng was faster, it would still be useless. Vine change, twist. When the spirit wolf was roughly 20 meters away from the girl, someone's chanting was heard. Following that, a strange scene emerged. On the ground where the spirit wolf was running, azure vines were suddenly spreading out. These vines were the size of an adult's arm. The surface of the vine was covered with thorns, and they were extremely shrewd and ferocious under someone's control. The spirit wolf was in the middle of charging. However, just as it stepped into the area, the azure vines quickly grew and forcefully bound themselves to the legs of the spirit wolf. The spirit wolf was caught by surprise as it was quickly dragged, crashing to the ground, causing a cloud of dust to appear. Plant element? Mo Fan was astonished as he looked at Zhuang Lifeng from afar. Zhuang Lifeng smiled deviously as he said, "Did you really think I was just a wind magician?" After Zhuang Lifeng revealed the second element, the entire audience gasped in surprise. Yet another intermediate magician. Zhuang Lifeng had just used the spell of wind element, so everyone knew his first awakening was the wind element. Now, he had used a plant magic. Plant element was a part of white magic, and also very rare during primary level. It was clear that Zhuang Lifeng had achieved the level of an intermediate mage, and the plant element was the second magic he had awakened. Mo Fan had been cautious of this person from the very beginning. As expected, his intuition wasn't wrong at all. This person had advanced into the intermediate level. "That's interesting. Unfortunately, the difference between you and that fatty Luo song is too big." Mo Fan couldn't help but smile as he looked at Zhuang Lifeng. The face of Zhuang Lifeng no longer had the same proud smile as before. He had a feeling that this summoner seemed to know something that he didn't. Being able to reach the intermediate level is indeed very good. Unfortunately, you aren't able to properly draw a star atlas. Whether it is the wind element or the plant element, you're simply unable to cast intermediate magic. Mo Fan opened his mouth to say. Zhuang Lifeng thought he'd be able to scare Mo Fan once he displayed his second element. However, he never thought that Mo Fan had already seen through it all. Just primary level. Don't think for a moment that you can stop my spirit wolf. Mo Fan's heart was connected with the spirit wolf. He knew just what condition it was in. The plant element's primary spell was classified as a trap spell. If Zhuang Lifeng grasped an even higher level of vines, it would be very hard for the spirit wolf to break away. Ooh ooh! The spirit wolf let out a roar as he directly used brute force to break away from the devil vines on his body. The devil vines looked very firm, but they weren't tough enough. When the spirit wolf ferociously used its strength, the vines snapped in half and scattered across the ground. The spirit wolf didn't remain in the same place for long. This part of the arena had already been completely frozen by the ice magician. If he were to remain for 2 more seconds, his 4 legs would have been frozen as well. As the spirit wolf burst out, his speed made the ice element's ice spread seem like nothing. The spirit wolf's objective was naturally the fire element girl. This time, even if she was to run, it'd still be of no use. The spirit wolf was lenient as it crashed into the girl's body with its head, causing her to fly out like a kickball before she crashed into the cage. Fortunately, the cage was made from water element and quite soft, or else the crash would have left a couple of broken bones. After dealing with the most dangerous magician, the spirit wolf sent their ice and light element magicians down in succession. At last, there was only Zhuang Lifeng remaining. After Zhuang Lifeng saw his comrades being taken care of so easily, a vicious thought flashed through his mind. You fool, do you really think that I can only deal with your summoned beast? If a summoner doesn't know how to protect himself, then the summoned beast will be useless even if it's really strong. Zhuang Lifeng's figure suddenly disappeared. As the spirit wolf was in the middle of dealing with others, Zhuang Lifeng actually used his wind tunnel to race towards Mo Fan. Chapter 162 Only you're an intermediate? Zhuang Lifeng's move was outside of everyone's expectations. In this competition, the challengers were supposed to eliminate the summoned beasts. This act of Zhuang Lifeng was out of the box, and immediately caused dissatisfaction among the summoner students. This is against the rules. How could he attack the summoner straight away? Shouted Hai Daifu without hesitation. Not really, this competition is a battle between the summoners and the people of the other side. There was one time where one person defeated our school long ago, and the senior that represented our school had a summoned beast way stronger than Mo Fan's, Zhang Yunming said calmly. As a teacher, Zhang Yunming did not talk about the situations that could possibly occur in a battle to his students, and he also had not told them that the summoners could be a target as well in the battle. Sometimes, only by experiencing something would someone truly remember a lesson. Besides, in a real battle against demons and monsters, a summoner had to learn how to protect himself. Damn, Mo Fan only managed to fend off 79 of them, and is still quite far away from reaching 100, said an unhappy Hai Dafu. The spirit wolf was invincible. It had managed to fend off 7 or 8 waves of attackers already, but no one expected that someone experienced like Zhuang Lifeng would pop out of nowhere and attack the summoner straight away. Such big words he used, and thanks to him, we have now offended the students of the other schools, cursed Wang Li. Zhuang Lifeng had the wind element on his side. He was so fast the dust on the ground was split apart by his high speed. As he drew closer and closer, he could clearly see the provoking face of that summoner student. Idiot! How dare he act so tough and strong with just those puny capabilities of his? Even without using his magic, Zhuang Lifeng would be able to knock out this summoner student just using the speed he was traveling. Of course, Zhuang Lifeng was still observing every move made by Mo Fan carefully, and he had prepared himself to change to another way of attacking as long as Mo Fan showed any sign of using any magic equipment. Light? Why is there light on this guy's hand? It does not seem like he is using any magic equipment. Wait a minute, purple light? Zhuang Lifeng's expression froze in an instant. Other than some exclusive elements, the only element that emits purple rays is the freaking lightning element. I don't remember saying that I am not an intermediate mage, drawled Mo Fan, mockery in his eyes as they started to emit bright purple rays. The purple star path was formed, and countless lightning arcs sparked around Mo Fan like slithering snakes. Lightning strike, fierce whip. At this range, there was not even a second for Zhuang Lifeng to activate any of his defensive magical gear at all. The lightning arcs merged together in a blink of an eye, turning into ferocious purple serpents that charged out and whipped their bodies towards Zhuang Lifeng mercilessly. Upon seeing the serpents, Zhuang Lifeng immediately reacted and tried to evade their attacks. However, Mo Fan knew that this guy could move at high speed, and so he specifically activated the second-level lightning strike. With the relentless and rampaging thunder whips striking everywhere, Zhuang Lifeng would not be able to dodge his attacks even if he were twice as fast as he was. Once he was struck by one of the lightning strikes, the other strikes would lash towards the target like snakes stalking their prey, before converging on and devouring the target. Zhuang Lifeng's wind trail was destroyed by the lightning whip, and purple lightning sparks were sizzling all over his body. He couldn't even move a finger now, let alone run like he had been. 80 of you. Mo Fan, on the other hand, did not release the lightning strike completely, because Zhuang Lifeng might pass out straight away. With a smile, Mo Fan ignored the paralyzed Zhuang Lifeng as he only considered Zhuang Lifeng's failure another minor event on the road to his eventual victory. Zhuang Lifeng was down on the ground, his face very pale. He looked at Mo Fan, who was standing right in front of him. Intermediate level mage. No wonder he dared to provoke everyone. When Zhuang Lifeng failed, the people sitting out in the seats were all startled. It was already surprising enough that Zhuang Lifeng had displayed another element of magic. After all, that meant that there was yet another intermediate-level mage among the new students. However, before anyone could recover from the shock given them by Zhuang Lifeng, that arrogant summoner pummeled even more surprises into everyone with a surprise lightning strike. He was also an intermediate-level mage. Damn, we know that the Pearl Institute had a lot of strong students, but there shouldn't be that many intermediate-level mages. The new students were basically not even 20 years old, and those that advanced into intermediate-level mage before 20 years old were all monsters. Now, including Luo Song, there were already 3 of them. Perhaps the latter 2 did not acquire any difficult intermediate magics, but with that monstrous talent of theirs, it is only a matter of time before they managed to do so. He is also a lightning mage?" asked a girl with a ponytail, looking at Shu Shouting with surprise all over her face. Shu Shouting only smiled speechlessly at her question and did not say anything at all. Back then, after the battle at the Mu family, Shu Shouting had immediately stopped acting proudly in front of Mo Fan after witnessing Mo Fan's power, which far exceeded his own. Then, did he acquire any intermediate lightning element magic? Pressed the girl with the ponytail. I don't know, Shu Shouting replied with a shake of his head. Then he is unstoppable. With an evolved spirit wolf and his expertise in lightning strike, no one will be able to beat him. Only by dragging it out will we win. Drag out things long enough for his spirit wolf to use up all its energy. Time passed slowly, as the challengers came up one after another. One by one they came, and one by one they fell. After a few tries, more and more bodies lay underneath Mo Fan and his spirit wolf's legs. In the battle, Mo Fan continued to support his spirit wolf by using lightning strike. The lightning strike was very good for crowd control, and this greatly eased the burden on the spirit wolf. Even a strong summoned beast like the wolf would not be able to fight non-stop. Soon, more than 100 challengers had fallen. This was very good news to the students from the summoner school, as their resources were now secured. Before they entered the competition, none of them could have dreamed that it would be Mo Fan that stood out and turned the tables. Now, everyone admired Mo Fan for what he had done, except for Wang Liting. After all, not anyone could be like Mo Fan and overwhelm students from an entire school that easily. Even after more than 100 of them fell, the challengers continued to come in. Who wanted to lose? Thus, even after knowing that they might not be able to win, they blatantly challenged Mo Fan in hopes of wearing down the spirit wolf. With this thought in their mind, more and more challengers fell. Soon the number was about to breach 150 people. The achievements of Mo Fan had completely cowed the other students. Idiots! A 5-person team, each and every one is a primary mage, and they failed to form a good synchronization with each other. They are just there to feed the wolf. Chapter 163 Cruel Thunderbolt. Dean Xiao, it has been already 150 students. Are we really going to give all the resources to him if he defeats 200 of them? Asked Zhang Zhenhua, the chairman of the Earth School. At first, no one took Mo Fan's words seriously, and they all treated him as a lunatic. But now, as the number drew closer and closer to the number given out by Mo Fan, they were all tensing up. If just Luo Song and Zhuang Liifeng were intermediate-level mages, and the others were only primary-level mages, then even sending another 50 men would not be able to change the outcome of this match. When they thought about it again, the spirit wolf was perhaps way too strong. Even when it was still evolving, it shouldn't have any strength left after so long. Judging from the injuries on the wolf, it shouldn't be able to keep up anymore, but the wolf still gave off a terrifying presence, as if it could still fight another 100 challengers. Brother, it is your turn now. Our resources will be taken away if we allow these idiots to fool around any longer, spoke up a young man with a handsome appearance. Your thoughts are exactly same as mine. Sigh, I did not want to fight at all. Well, not here at least, answered a burly young man, as he stood up from his chair with confidence in his eyes. This is actually quite interesting. A pawn from nowhere came to Shanghai and caused such a ruckus. Who would have thought someone from the capital would steal the spotlight from us, and then there's this little fish here. Bai Kangfeng, you were the first among us to finish a star atlas, so we will leave the spotlight for you, said another elegant and graceful man as he toyed with an expensive ring on his finger. Of course, here's my advice to the few of you. Spend more time on your cultivation, or you will only be able to hide here when a situation like this occurs again. You have shamed the 4 families of the Mo Du, laughed the burly man called Bai Kangfeng. HMPH, there are always people who are lucky enough to enter the intermediate level at an early age, but what then? There are so many people in this country, and what we do not lack the most is geniuses. They might be a genius right now, but who can guarantee that these geniuses will be as strong in the future, retorted Shen Shanhe. Learn to control your star atlas properly. I will end this brat streak right away and let the students of Pearl Institute know that our Bai family are the kings of the Shanghai, laughed Bai Kangfeng as he walked down towards the arena. Bai Kangfeng took his time as he entered the arena, since there were over 20 people still in front of him. Anyhow, as long as there were not more than 50 people, that brat's spirit wolf would definitely be defeated at the hands of Bai Kangfeng. Buddy, which school are you from? We think that. With a glance, Bai Kangfeng waved his hands and rejected the student who appeared to be the leader of a 5-man group by saying, I don't plan on fighting together with you. I will be sufficient to deal with a spirit wolf with no stamina left and a half-assed intermediate-level mage. After that, he ignored those guys and proceeded into the entrance of the arena alone. Damn, finally, someone powerful. Another 20 more to go until 200, thank heaven. By the way, this man looks familiar. I feel like I've seen him somewhere before, wondered the leader of the group of students. He is Bai Kangfeng, from the Bai family. Yes, our hope has arrived. It's Bai Kangfeng. Immediately, Dean Xiao and the other heads of various schools all landed their eyes on Bai Kangfeng. Among them, a lady from the holy school smiled and said gently, and here I thought my nephew would be able to sit back patiently. The Bai family has taken action, this mess should end here now, thought a relieved Zhou Zhenhua. The resources given to the new students might not be able to interest the people from huge families like the Bai family, but they probably couldn't stand aside when the reputation of Pearl Institute is being threatened, said the lady. In the arena, Bai Kangfeng was already standing there alone, totally confident. He looked just like Luo Song, who had single-handedly decimated the 3 summoner students just a little while ago. Both walked into the arena alone and were facing off against summoned beasts that had long ago proven to be difficult to deal with calmly. You are Mo Fan? Asked Bai Kangfeng as a gentle smile appeared on his face. He focused on Mo Fan and said, interesting, I have to say that you are one of the best among the new students at the school. However, you and I both know that once we made it to this level, primary level mages are nothing more than just puny insects. The so-called 200 people here are just fools that came in groups of 5. There's nothing to be proud of if all you did was just bully them. Mo Fan, on the other hand, was also staring at this guy who was about to fight him by himself. Judging from this person's presence, Mo Fan knew that this new opponent possessed strength far superior to Zhuang Liifeng. You are quite smart, actually, to be able to exploit the advantages of the intermediate level to obtain more resources. Perhaps it was fine for you if you had only offended those without a strong background, but don't you think that you forgot about the others with a huge background among the new students? Damn you! Bai Kangfeng put up an angered expression and in just an instant, tore his gentle image apart as he cursed at Mo Fan. However, he stopped cursing almost instantly as he saw that Mo Fan had already started forming a violet star atlas while he was talking. If it wasn't for his senses detecting that a huge amount of lightning energy had started accumulating around him, Bai Kangfeng might not even have realized the star atlas was forming, because this sneaky bastard had used the body of the spirit wolf to block his line of sight. Just shut up, will you? Scolded Mo Fan. Bai Kangfeng was rendered speechless. The star atlas had completely formed under Mo Fan's feet, the star paths started transmitting violet energy, and each time the energy passed from one star path to another, the power of the lightning star atlas would increase little by little. When the time had come, Mo Fan pointed his index finger towards the blue skies above. Without any fancy moves or signs, the intermediate level lightning elemental magic formed out of nowhere. It gave off a murderous feeling of wanting to kill, without any other nonsense. As Mo Fan pointed his finger upwards, thunderclouds formed on top of Bai Kangfeng out of nowhere. It did not take long before the lightning started going on a rampage everywhere around the arena. Hong! Ear-piercing thunderclaps shrieked across the arena, and caused some of the students to cover their ears in fear. In front of Mo Fan's eyes, the violet lightning struck down from the skies, and the bolt flew straight towards Bai Kangfeng like a slithering dragon charging towards its prey. With a destructive boom, the lightning landed right on Bai Kangfeng. Before the lightning even landed, the ground around Bai Kangfeng was already being torn apart by the massive amount of electricity. The energy was so strong that even teacher Ji Yu Han, who was standing there safeguarding the students, frowned and showed a slightly nervous expression. To be honest, even he did not manage to react in time, and now he was unsure if he could even help Bai Kangfeng withstand this lightning magic unleashed by Mo Fan. Chapter 164 Invincible. Boom! The floor of the arena stage shattered under the horrifying thunderstrike. Although the thunderbolt was swift and strong, it was not as fancy as a lightning strike. But at the same time, it possessed the strongest destructive power of all the intermediate spells. If Bai Kangfeng didn't have any defensive magic equipment, he would be crushed for sure. In the nick of time, a golden ray appeared from nowhere, shrouding Bai Kangfeng entirely as it turned into a golden barrier. Bai Kangfeng, who had finally pulled himself out of his state of shock, quickly summoned his own defensive magic equipment. However, it was obvious that teacher Ji Yu Han's defensive magic had gotten into place ahead of his gear. Right after that, Bai Kangfeng was slammed right to the ground by the impact of the thunderbolt. Thanks to his magic gear and teacher Ji Yu Han's magic nullifying some of the destructive force of the thunderbolt, he only suffered some minor injuries. However, Bai Kangfeng was still trembling at the close call. Bastard! I will kill you! Bai Kangfeng stood up angrily, and fire rose within his eyes. How could this guy attack first before the teacher even gave the signal? And he even dumped an intermediate lightning spell without saying a word. Bai Kangfeng had been thinking about how his opponent would deal with him. Perhaps he would cast an intermediate spell just like him, but he had never expected the outcome would be like this. You're out, Ji Yu Han said without hesitation to Bai Kangfeng, as he exhaled a long and relieved breath of air. What? Why? I still have my magic armor equipment. I didn't even need your help. This is your own miscalculation, replied the frustrated Bai Kangfeng. To Bai Kangfeng's dismay, Ji Yu Han answered coldly, if it wasn't because of me just now, you might have been killed straight away. At the least, you had not prepared yourself to use your magic equipment at the time he completed his intermediate spell. Nonsense! With my reaction speed, shouted Bai Kangfeng angrily. Did he just get disqualified before he could even do anything? Yes, he did. Since the start, he had not thought that his opponent would throw out an intermediate-level lightning spell, catching him off guard. However, that did not mean that he couldn't use his magic equipment in time. How rude! Get lost from my sight! Ji Yu Han, however, did not go easy on Bai Kangfeng. He simply waved his hand and formed a wind element star atlas on the ground. A wild wind rose, Ji Yu Han's clothes waving with it. In just an instant, the air within the arena seemed to have been sucked away entirely. Teacher Ji Yu Han was standing in the center of the storm's eye, looking just like a demon rising from the vortex, standing there high and mighty. Shocked, Bai Kangfeng stared at Teacher Ji Yu Han with an empty mind. Finally, he gave both Mo Fan and Ji Yu Han cold glares before getting down from the arena angrily. He was extremely frustrated and stressed out that he was eliminated before he could do anything. And that was not the thing that bothered him the most. He felt that his magic equipment could have helped him withstand Mo Fan's attack, but that busybody teacher acted quicker than he had. If a teacher interfered for someone during the battle, that particular person was disqualified, so how was Bai Kangfeng supposed to remain calm? Teacher Ji Yu Han is so strong. What a short-tempered teacher. Come to think about it again, that thunderbolt just now. An intermediate-level lightning magic. What the hell? I am a main in the lightning element and I have yet to enter the intermediate level. Now, a summoner main out of nowhere can already unleash an intermediate-level lightning magic. What on earth? Upon seeing Mo Fan's intermediate-level lightning magic, an uproar immediately occurred among the students of the lightning school. The appearance of a thunderbolt was just like lightning striking down around the students on a sunny day. They just couldn't accept it even now. Another intermediate-level mage, and he was a mage that could already cast intermediate-level magic. This guy was just like Luo Song. Luo Song was a mage from the ice element. The magic of the ice chain was already bad enough, but as the strongest element among the classical elements, the lightning element seemed to be much stronger. Just like Bai Kangfeng, who did not expect the sudden attack launched by Mo Fan, the other students also did not foresee it. That attack of Mo Fan was just like lightning striking down out of nowhere. And it was only now that everyone knew why this summoner mage dared to provoke every new student present today. He was not just a mage that had an evolved summoned beast, but also a crazily strong intermediate lightning mage. The combat power of Mo Fan, an intermediate-level lightning mage. Perhaps Bai Kangfeng would still be no match for Mo Fan even if he wasn't disqualified. An intermediate-level lightning mage is just way too strong against those of the same level. Hai Dafu's mouth had not closed once after Mo Fan unleashed his destructive lightning magic. The other summoner students basically wanted to kneel down before Mo Fan and worship him ever since the thunderbolt made its appearance in his hands. Among the students, Wang Liding had the richest facial expression. Upon looking at the scene where the young man stood tall and mighty on the arena, and not even a person dared to challenge him again, no one could not admire the young man, even if they did not like him. There are a few that are still going to look for their own deaths now. But there's nothing they can do. Mo Fan will win straight if no one challenges him anymore. Only a few more to go now. He has defeated 189 challengers now. Another 2 groups of challengers, sigh. I wonder why they stepped out now. One of them may be just like Zhuang Lifeng, who awakened another element, but being unable to cast any intermediate-level magic means that he is no match for Mo Fan. Oh shit! Seems like we are going to acquire the resources of every school for ourselves, shouted Hai Dafu happily as he suddenly realized that point. Bro, we would probably only get what belongs to us. Those resources will belong only to Mo Fan. Zhang Yunming nodded slightly as he agreed that Mo Fan had no reason to share the acquired resources with them. 199. Declared Dean Xiao loudly to the new students, telling them that they had only one last chance. Let me clarify this. If you have yet to enter the intermediate level, or if you have, but are unable to cast any intermediate level magic, I suggest you stand down and step aside. It is good that you have the courage and bravery to fight, but you will be making a fool out of yourself if you charge at the rock with an egg, said Zhou Zhenhua, who couldn't watch anymore. And as soon as he said this, the entire stadium turned quiet. Luo Song clenched his fists. He regretted that he had entered the arena way too early, or he might have been able to take Mo Fan down with him after giving all he had. Now, the resources for all the new students would be given to Mo Fan. This was a treatment not even the children of the rich families out there could receive. And if Mo Fan really received so many resources for himself, then he, Luo Song, would be outrun by Mo Fan by a huge gap. Damn, were there no more intermediate-level mages? Impossible. There must be more than just us. They just don't want to get involved since the resources are barely anything to those who are at the intermediate level. But the thing is, will they be able to stop themselves from being provoked? An intermediate lightning mage might not be easy to deal with, but this brat obviously has no magic gear on him, so what is there to be afraid of? Someone is up for the challenge. Suddenly, a voice was heard shouting from one of the seats among the spectators. The silent arena turned lively again as everyone's eyes landed on the new challenger. What appeared within their vision, however, was an extremely beautiful and curvaceous young woman. What made her stand out the most was not her courage to step up at this crucial moment, but her calm. In no time, someone quickly recognized her and called out her name. Mu Nu Jiao.